Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second part of our My Right Tribe Writers series. Writers. So my name is Krista, and we have, of course, on the screen we have Marsha, Lee Jean, and Audrey. So today we want to make it. The last round we actually went for almost 2 hours. So tonight we hope that we don't need to go that long. But there are certain things that we want to say, we want to also talk about. So the first thing that when we put up this title is now a good time to start your writing business. First of all, when I sent it out to friends, there were some friends who were skeptical. I wouldn't name them, but there are friends who were skeptical, and they were saying that, really, are you sure, that, people can make a living from writing? So just to prove a point, right? The four of us on screen tonight are writers, and we are still writers, and we're still doing it. Of course, in different areas, right? So for those of you who just joined us, welcome to our live stream where you can ask questions about writing and the business of writing. But if you're just curious and you just want to ask some other questions, you are also welcome to do so. So let's start with the topic that we have today, which is now a good time to start your writing business. Ladies, chime in.
I think I will first qualify. I will first confess to say that I have a full-time job, so I'm not a full-time freelance writer like I used to be, and the question of whether now is a good time or not, I just want to say that it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So it is your objective, like how much you want to earn. So like the rest of my friends here, Masha and Audrey, we have been freelance writers for many, many years, and I survived for 2 decades until I decided that, okay, it's about time that I went into full-time employment. But at the back of my mind, I felt that any time is a good time. It really depends on how much you want to earn, you see. So for that, you just have to really be very honest with yourself. What is it that you're trying to achieve? Is it the freedom? Is it the money? Is it the creative license? So from there, that is when you decide that any time is a good time, depending on what you want, to achieve with whatever that you want to do with your writing life. That's my side of the story. Maybe Masha or Audrey, you'd like to chip in?
I would say that any time is a good time to start, but it's important to do your background, especially if you're coming from a place of, if you're fully employed, okay, and you want to make that switch. There's a lot of things that go into building your brand, networking, gaining momentum, because one of the things with freelance work is that, you don't have a fixed income. And one of the things that a lot of freelancers forget is that a lot of costs are borne by your employers previously, and now they are yours to bear. So you need to factor those things in if you really want to think about writing as a career and starting a business. Yeah, because many people think about freelance work as a side hustle, and it's like a nice to have, a little extra income, but not your main income or your only income. So that's a very, very important consideration to take when you talk about setting up your own writing business and all the expenses that come with it, and whether you have the necessary savings and support network to keep things going while you're waiting for business to pick up. So that's it for me. Marsha?
For me, much like Lee Jin right now, admittedly, I'm employed, fully employed as a writer and on social media and digital marketing executive lead. But when I started off, much like the rest of the people here, I came off with nothing, and I started writing and believing in myself. But I survived for most parts of my writing career on a retainer, and also working with a network of people I know. I think one thing that you have to remember. Before you jump off the boat, make sure there's a float, right? So, or a boat, better yet. Um, yeah, before you leave, look, and be prepared. I think that's important. And I think what really tied me over was just like, knowing that some people have my back and then I have the retainer clients and all that. Yeah. So anytime is a
So
good time to go in.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not just because like right now we're in a pandemic that it's a good time to
Yeah,
start, right? But of course
yeah.
now, because there are many people, probably they have uh, lost their
Suddenly,
jobs.
yeah,
Yeah, suddenly
correct.
lost their
Yeah, yeah.
jobs, and then this could be viable. That's why we are not saying that just jump out of your job and become a writer, but you have to prepare, right? You have to lay the foundation a bit. And in this sense, I think Audrey would probably have some ideas. How do you lay that foundation?
Okay. I would say, like what Li Jin was saying, is about being honest with yourself about what you want to do, right? But it's also practical things like what kind of writing. In our first session, we actually talked. There are so many avenues for writing work to explore, and if you have any kind of specialized knowledge, legal talk, taxes, property, things like that, which are very helpful and practical for people to know, then you have an advantage there, because many people don't understand those things, or they don't have access to that kind of knowledge without digging through a lot of information. The other thing I would suggest is also to look at your strengths and to look at the possibility of collaboration, because there's a solo person, there's only so much you can do. So, as a writer, if you have designer friends, if you have experts in fields that you feel that who are good people to interview because they have knowledge to share, then those are good resources and they can help you build a foundation in terms of what area you want to go into. I think that's all I can think of for now. I'll chime in with others if I can think of them.
No, actually,
Now
actually, I
I'll
really
just
would like it
add
if,
something to that.
yeah, yeah, Marsha, go on, yeah.
Yeah, go
Go, go,
ahead.
go, go, go.
Yeah, no, actually, if you had not caught our first session, yeah, basically what we are saying is like a continuation of what we had said the first time, and like what Krista was saying just now. So the main reason why we wanted to come up with this is that we realize that a lot of people have lost their jobs, and out of the blue, you find that you really have to pivot, you have to do something else. So if you have not even considered it, or you have been have been toying with the idea for a long time now, anytime is a good time. And if you know that you can write, this is probably one time that you might want to think about doing writing as a career, initially starting off like what Audrey was saying, starting off um, small, and then later on, it can become a full-time career, because like all three of us here, and even Krista as well, all of us have actually done it full-time before, so that we know it works. And then at some point when you feel you're ready, or that you want to join a company full-time, the writing part always comes in helpful, because you still have the skills. It's like muscle memory. I feel that writing is a muscle memory. If you can write it, if you can write well, it applies across whatever you do. And that has helped me tremendously in whatever industry that I go into. Just just to encourage people who suddenly find that, oh, I don't know what to do now because I've just been laid off. And you know for example, people who work in the media, actually I would dedicate our sessions to people in the media who suddenly find themselves very lost because a lot of publications have closed down. It's nothing for you to be sad about, because there's so many ways in which you can put your writing to good value, because as I said, it's a muscle memory. If you can write well, it can bring you places. And Marsha, sorry, back to you.
Now, I was just gonna add to it. Don't be afraid to scout around for, because I think after the previous session, someone asked me about how I reach out globally, right, internationally, how I used to like to, publications and companies all around the world, right? And one of the things that I just want to share with the people is that don't be afraid to scout around, look around, and like I think Eugene and Audrey and Krista, we're looking for publications, right? We've listened to magazines, then we reached out and we wrote in very shameless. It's a very shameless plug thing. Okay. You have that
Mm-hmm.
very thick skin and just go in, here's my samples, here's what I can do for you, blah blah blah, and just, power yourself through. Don't be shy about it. Arm yourself with your best confident face and just do it. If this is the path that you want, there's no other way. For me anyway.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned is actually quite true. Is that sometimes when you're first starting out, you need to put on that thick skin, right? And make sure that you get your foot in the door first. And I think the best way to get your foot in the door is these days. I mean, when we started out, there was nothing like Google,
And no
nothing
Facebook
at all.
that time.
There was no Facebook.
Alta Vista, not.
Yeah. So there was nothing like what we have today. And today it's so easy to just Google and find out those online publications that are accepting guest writing, right? Or samples of writing, or you can just go and look at certain or your favorite media portals and just see if that is the kind of writing that you would like to try. And of course, before you go in, I think the better thing is for you to have some work or some pieces of writing, because they will definitely ask you, okay, please send in some work that you have done. At least we can see your style of writing. So I think that is one thing that is available to anyone today. So you don't really have to say that, oh, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone in the media, anyone in the writing industry. Of course, if you're watching this, you know the four of us, and I know that even Audrey has been approached by people who are interested in getting to the PR line, and Marcia got people who contacted her because they wanted to write for international publications or even websites and all that. So
Yeah.
you have to start somewhere. So that's where we believe that having this. So why we're doing this, I think maybe this is a good time to actually talk about why we're doing this. Is again something that we talked about in the first session that we did is
Yeah.
we have all come a long way since we started writing 20 over years ago, all of us here, Lee Jean, Marcia, Audrey, myself. And we felt that we have learned through the School of Hard Knocks that there are so many things that we can actually help younger writers, or not even younger writers, probably aspiring writers, like I wouldn't say younger writers, like aspiring writers who
Yeah.
want to try something like this for themselves. And believe it or not, I always believe that writing is actually one of the best skills to have. it it's just like you can go into any industry, any
Yeah.
business, do anything with your writing. And these days, because of digital, you even have more opportunities because people are always looking for
So
things
true.
to, yes, things to write, like Facebook content, social
Digital.
media, digital articles, whatever, as long
That
as
answers
there is something to be written.
that answers our question. Basically that just encapsulates the entire answer to what we ask, right? In this poster to say, is now a good time or not? Because I've got friends who wants
That's a
who always
perfect time,
wanted
right?
to write. Yeah, and then they're always saying, oh, but nowadays there's so much competition. Every time I see somebody post something in either a Facebook or anywhere that says that, oh, I'm looking for a writer to do a contract, oh, I'm looking for a writer, then you get 10 million people applying. So they say, oh, it's so hard now, it's not a good time, maybe I should just wait. Then I can say you wait forever lah. The thing is that yes, it is true, now there are more writers around, and because a lot of there are a lot of new graduates being churned out every year, and of course there's a lot of reporters that has been given a VSS, so there are many more people out in the market. But the opportunities that we have now is far more than what we had during our time. Audrey, Marsha, Krista, our time is really just only. I remember Krista was
we,
telling
we
me you
sound
must
like
do.
we all sound like old
Yeah,
fuddy daddies now.
yeah, I know.
Our
But I
time.
remember Krista was the first person. That was back in the year 2000. She said, you must do blogging. I'm like, blogging? What is blogging? She said, you must blog, you must blog. I said, I don't know what's blogging. I don't know how to do the technical stuff. So she was telling me, that
Yeah,
was
I
in the year
know, right?
2000. Exactly. And we were just like, oh, no, I'm the print and the paper type. I only want to see things that come out in
Yeah,
print.
same,
So yes,
same.
exactly. But look at it now. I've got friends now, who's been hired just to do speeches. I've got friends who are hired just to do journals. I've got friends who are hired just to do social media posts. I even have friends who are hired just to do TikTok scripts. So the kind of opportunities available now is actually far more varied, far more interesting as well, than what we had back then. So again, we come back to the question: if Krista, you were saying whatever you were saying just now, is now a good time? I would say yes. Yeah, just don't think of writing as what we Budley Dudleys did, Has far more potential than now than ever before, because of the digital explosion. I would say, yeah. But what do you guys think? Yeah.
I'd say just go in and have a plan. For me, starting out, it was always about, oh, what are the magazines I like? Because when I first started out,
Mm.
it was all for me all about magazines rather than
True, true,
news
true, true.
reporting.
Yep.
So I used to love spending my hours in the magazine section, just picking up magazines and flipping through them, looking at the mastheads, wondering, okay, who are the people behind this, the editors? Do I know the writer? Have I heard of this editor? This publishing house, whatever. That's what I used to do. Now, because just about everything's digital, you can just
Yeah.
do all of this online. Most publications will have, write for us or jobs available. These are writing guidelines, our house style. So there's actually a lot that you can do to prepare yourself. And you can prepare a list. You can just go online to say, okay, I'm still working, I still have a full-time job, but I can take 1 hour out on a weekend to go and look up publications that are looking for writers, and you can just look, and then you just send out your sample, your introductory email, and be realistic about it. Cold calls, cold emails, yeah, 90% of it is, you're not going to get a response. But you if you don't try, then you don't know. um, at one point when I signed up for a content agency, I was super nervous, and thinking that I was really doing the wrong thing and such a bad idea. And then 3 months down the line, after the placement interview and uploading my profile with all my portfolio works, nothing came out. So I thought, yep, I knew it, hopeless, waste of time. But that was over 2 years ago, and I have had a steady stream of work. Once it started picking up, I had a couple of clients that weren't quite the right fit, but a couple of them were, and they were good enough that they wanted me to continue working with them. So from a 6-month contract, it got extended to a year now. After more than 2 years, I'm still working with them, and it's on a retainer basis too, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So you just have to stick with it. Stick with it, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But you just got to keep trying.
I must say that one more thing I wanted to add is that if you network with senior writers, this is a hint. If you network with senior writers sometimes they get a little how should I say I would say picky lah. I wouldn't say the word picky lah, but sometimes there's certain work that we may not want to take on,
Yep.
right? Or they don't want to write anymore because like maybe we've moved on from that kind of writing. So that is also an opportunity for you to get some of this starting out work, which I believe is always available. So if you hang around writers long enough, hint again, hang around, not hang around us lah, but go and find your own group of writers. We call ourselves my right tribe, because we believe that writing really is about a writing community. So if you have jobs, you pass along to other people, and if you want to do certain things, but maybe you don't know how to start, being with a group of writers actually is a good productive way to spend your time, because they can not only share tips, but they can also share jobs with you. So yes, that is why we're doing
Oh,
this, is also to share this work, if we do have any access or anything that we comes along our way. Yeah. Audrey?
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing. One of the common questions, Amy, it's always great if we have a portfolio or work samples to share. But for
Yeah.
people who are coming in from another industry, obviously, that might not be, you might not have that on hand. So I would also say that you can gain writing experience even before you attempt to freelance. So let's say in your current line of work, um, I'm sure your company has a website, a fact sheet, portfolio. Your CEO needs a nice biodata written up. Things like that. You can kind of get in a little bit of practice by offering to do writing jobs in your current work. So that helps you to build a little bit of confidence, makes you a bit more familiar with the process. What kind of questions, what kind of information you need to line up work. For me, I always need to have information, or knowledge of the subject before I start to write. Some people can really write off the cuff, and that's amazing, but I really need to have my solid foundation and some basic understanding of the topic before I even try. So if you're in your current line of work, you can still pick up some writing experience, and that can be your portfolio, sometime in the future.
Okay. So we do have questions coming in. So if you're watching this and you already have this, like, okay, I have a question, right? I need to ask these ladies here some questions. So we have, okay, there's one from Charmaine. Yep. Good evening. If I couldn't find a community, can I create one? Yes, feel free to create your own community,
Yes.
your own groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
community can be
Yeah.
a community on your WhatsApp,
Yeah.
which is one.
Correct. Yeah.
It could be a community online, which there are plenty, right? On Facebook itself, if you just search for
Mhm.
writing groups, you will find plenty of those kind of groups.
Mhm.
But you must also be I would say, a participant. You must
Kind of
participate,
contributor.
yeah,
You
and
must be a
contribute,
major
yeah,
contributor. Yes.
contributor, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are some groups that I've been in where it's like kind of crickets, right? Nothing much is happening. So it has to also be like kind of engaging. And there's some groups that are fantastic, right? Where tons of people ask questions, tons of people answer.
Yeah.
So we also have to
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
giver in many ways, like we have a community. So Charmaine, stay till the end because we've got some good news for you. Really
Yeah.
good news for you. So we're talking about community today. So you just hit
Yeah.
the nail on the head. Okay, there's another question. Let's see. From Dev Kumar Balakrishnan. Hello and welcome to our live stream. So his
Hello.
creative flair. If we could have some insights on his significance in business writing, what position does he occupy in the scheme and structure of writing pattern or styles? Ooh, okay.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Coming in from
you chose
many,
all the
many
tough
different
ones.
angles.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
just let me just set the boundary first. Creative writing is very different from business writing.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that first, right? It does play a role in business, obviously, because when it comes to copywriting and all that, there has to be a certain, you have to tap into your creativity to find the right audience and you know, um, to make them gel with you, kind of thing. But when it comes to creative flair, if you're talking about fiction and all that, it's a completely different ballgame. And I think it's something that I think I myself am looking forward to embark on in the near future as of fiction writing. So I've never done that. I wish I could. I've done a lot of business and copywriting and digital content, but yeah, uh, that's my answer.
Yeah. Well, if you ask me, I will say that it plays a very big role in business writing. Is it because, okay, let's just not confine it to business writing. Why not we open it up to all forms of um, serious types of writing? Yeah. So apart from business writing, there's health writing, there's medical writing, anything that is not creative lah. So non-fiction writing we're talking about, correct or not? And your question is basically, how does creative flair, contribute to your writing patterns and styles. That I would say that, if you're going to write things exactly as they are, yes, if it's going to be meant for certain markets that don't mind it, you'll find that, okay, it plays its part in your business or your journals, etc. But if you are reaching out to the masses, then you find that that is where, if you can combine some elements of creativity into your business writing and your whatever non-fiction writing, medical writing, healthcare writing, if you can inject some creativity in there, I bet you will do very, very well. In fact, that's what a lot of people are looking for, in particular healthcare industry. Yeah, I'm sure, Audrey, you agree with me, isn't it? In healthcare, in businesses, people really want to have, they want to read something that sounds like human to them, because they really want to understand very complicated jargons, those very complicated financial jargons and legal jargons. So if somebody can write it in a way that it sounds like a human language instead of a language from another planet, they will really appreciate it, you see. So I think it really plays a very big part. And if you have a client who actually wants that, I would say you struck a gold mine. This client will stay with you and probably give you a contract, and there you go. You would have struck lottery already, isn't it? Yeah.
Can I give an
I
idea?
think
Yeah. Yeah,
creativity
go
is
ahead.
not to be sorry. I think it's important to distinguish between creativity and casual. Um,
Yep.
like Li Jin mentioned, if you have a very specific audience that you're writing for, a little bit of humor is great just to liven things up. But if you were to continue the entire material in a very casual tone, that might not go well. So it's all about balance. It's about who you're writing for, and what kind of information you're trying to communicate. So a little bit of humor or a little bit of alluding to something, pop culture or something like that might be good, but it should not compromise on the overall purpose or intent of your written
Correct.
work. Yeah,
Correct.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
I
yeah, but I
wanted to
must I,
add on
I
to.
must
Yeah.
qualify. Not all clients will like it. Yeah, because I met one or two who's like, no, no, we don't like it that way. So okay, you want to revert back to whatever it is. So you really, like what Audrey said, like not just strike a balance, but you really have to find, a client that really hits them. They really like it that way. So it really depends on what Marshall
I
was
think
saying. Just
to me,
on the creativity.
creativity is also about the tone. Like,
Mm,
you're
Yeah.
writing a piece, right, for someone. So you can be very creative even if it's just using regular language. So creativity
correct.
to me doesn't mean that you have to.
Jargons and
Most people will say flowery language. I don't know where the
bombastic.
flowers come from, or the
Yeah.
bombastic language, or the very difficult to spell, very complex words. I mean, to me, I think creative flair is just a way for you to
Yeah.
humanize it. Can I say humanize it? Because I have a client. I mean, I have a client who's a doctor, and I always believe that doctors' websites are somehow can be pretty boring in a sense, because they're
Technical,
always
very
writing about the
technical.
medical stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
really serious stuff. But if you can put creativity into it, is by making it very reader friendly. I would say, to me, that is creativity. Reader
Yep.
friendly, breaking
Yep.
down those difficult to understand jargon into, everyday words. And maybe you want to use some metaphors, you may want to use some analogies. I mean, it's up to you. But as long as when you are able to reach out to the intended audience, when they are reading it, they understand what you're trying to say. To me, that is creativity. Creativity is trying to make complex things, sound
Example.
simple and everyday, and as long as the person who's reading understands that piece, I think to me that's creative. So I think creativity is really a big word that covers a lot of things, but to me that's how I see it. So you can actually write a piece that is easy to read. To me, that will be even more creative, than something that's complex. Thank you, Dave Kumar, for that question. We have another question tonight. We're rolling with questions. So that's one
Great.
from Grace Ann. Hi, Grace Ann. if I like to write inspirational topics, where should I start other than blogging? I've done some copywriting jobs with rarely creative stuff. Okay, tonight is all about creativity. Everyone's asking about creative stuff. Anyone?
Okay,
Um,
this is
yeah.
an area that I think is one area that I would like to get into, but I haven't really, and that's when it comes to very personal, very emotive essays, and I think that kind of falls into what you talk about inspirational. Um, if you look up, there are some online journals that specialize in essays, and if you just take a read, some of them I find are like trying a bit too hard to the point where it's very difficult to understand. Some of them are very uplifting, some are very emotional, but when you talk about inspiration, I think that's what you mean, is you're trying to trigger that emotional connection with your writing, and it's not the same as blogging. You're right. Other than blogging, look up personal essays or journals that specialize in essays, and I think you'll find a lot to work on there.
I'll add to that. Grace Ann, right? Apart from blogging, you can try checking out Medium. Medium has a lot of key opinion leaders, but there are also one of the distinguishing points about Medium is that the readers are paying. Actually, I'm a paying reader, so we like inspirational stories as well. We like very humanized stories on there. Or if you want to try something a little bit more fictional, get on WhatsApp. There's a ton of people there, who write fictional stuff. I've not tried it myself, so I might just jump in with you if you decide to do it. So yeah, great. These are the two options you can try: Medium and WhatsApp.
I mean, I have not tried it before, but I see that there is very big potential in it. Is it because very few people have the kind of courage to go into this? Mainly because you can find a lot of inspirational topics already readily available online. So sometimes people will just prefer to get that kind of content online. Because a lot of it come from the Western countries where English is their first language. But where I see a niche in that, motivational speakers. They may be able to speak well, but they may not necessarily be able to write well. So remember, I'm always talking about, there's so many different types of writing which has not been explored, and ghostwriting is something which still holds very big potential. So you could be a ghostwriter for any one of those motivational speakers out there, and nowadays motivational speakers are like popping out like mushrooms, right? So in order for them to be able to
How much?
literally be very good as speakers, they must first promote themselves with a book. So they might need somebody to write a book for them. So yeah, maybe you could do that with any one of these motivational speakers. You could just write into them, and ask them whether they would like to produce a book, co-share, or you could ghostwrite for them, etc. You see. So basically what we're trying to do is just to let you know that there are just so many aspects of writing of which you can make a living out of lah. Boleh cari makan lah. Basically. So yeah, I would say inspirational topics is one thing which I might do upon retirement lah, which is not very far away, by the way. Yeah, but Krista, what do you think?
No, let me
Inspirational.
add to
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah,
Okay.
Krista,
Yeah.
let me add to that. If you're trying to start something like on Medium or Wattpad or anything like that, right? For Malaysians, I think you can, or even I think a lot of countries already. There's something called Patreon, Patreon, Patreon.com, that you can try. It's for creators. It's a platform that for creators who create a lot of things for free, but you have premium content that you want to share with only paid subscribers, right? So you can get on that, and so your fans or people who really support you, it's like $5 a month or $1 per month or whatever, right? So they'll regularly pay that small amount of money to support you, and eventually, if you gain momentum, right? You maybe like have like 10,000 followers willing to pay $1 a month. You
Hey,
know what
that
I
happened,
mean? If you're really good at
that
it.
happened.
Yeah.
Masha, that happened recently.
That's
I
tempting.
heard. Also on Shopee, this Shopee, was it Shopee or Lazada? when the MCO first started, so this guy was selling inspirational messages setiap hari RM1. So there were people who were subscribing to him to receive WhatsApp inspirational messages every day, and he was
Serious.
receiving like so many. Yes, and then following that, somebody got
Wow.
inspired by this guy. So you really have to be super creative. Like as I say, if you're a writer, you won't starve. Like you just have to put your writing skills to really good work. So this guy was doing like what you were saying, Marsha. So he put it on Facebook to say, but of course it was in a Malay market. So I guess that it must be a niche lah. So he said untuk kata-kata hikmah setiap hari. So people actually subscribe to him. And then after that,
That's
Yeah,
somebody
it
got
impressive.
is.
inspired by him. Yeah, somebody got inspired by him and said that, wow, just RM1 saja is making tons of money. Okay, I'm going to do that. So he started to doodle ugly cartoons. Have you heard of that guy? So he was selling his ugly cartoons for 50 cents per cartoon. So he was drawing all these very ugly caricatures. He was earning so much money. I think it was only more than 10K or something. He was just doing it for fun only. He's a carpenter or something
Yeah,
full time. So it's
unique,
just
right? It's a unique.
exactly, you're talking about creativity, right? So there's no end to it, isn't it? So you're talking about
So
inspirational stuff.
that's where this Marsha, you raise a very interesting point. These days,
Yes, yes.
like Patreon and all that, if you are creative, or if you have a following, or you have people who enjoy and appreciate your work, you can actually make a good living from what you do. And it doesn't have to be writing. Of course, writing is one of the ways that people can support you. So it could be anything from, even like I say, a podcast. Some people say I only give
Right.
certain people access like some behind the scenes stuff if you subscribe to me on Patreon and all that. So there are different things, even videos, YouTube, right? YouTube videos,
YouTube.
like
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
special stuff. I'm not going to show on YouTube, the regular YouTube. I'm going to put it, behind this gated access. So people are coming up with really creative ways in
Yep.
producing content, but
Correct.
content for
Correct.
different
Yes.
categories, for the free subscribers versus
Yep.
the paid ones. So I think
Yeah.
even in writing, if we can be creative about it, I think that's
Yep.
also, there are many ways of doing things like that
Of
to,
monetizing it. Yeah.
yeah, monetizing. Actually, we call it monetizing it lah. Yeah. So
Correct.
hope we
Yeah.
answered your question, Grace. And okay, and we have another one, uh, which is from Margaret Antonio Jung. For a beginner, what topic do you suggest we start with?
Oh, what are you passionate about?
Yes,
Yeah.
what are
Start
you?
with that.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
are you
what do you
passionate
like?
about? What specialized information do you have to share? What special knowledge do you have to share? And it
Right.
doesn't need to be complicated, by the way.
Yes.
Many people like simple, easy to follow things. So when I say specialized knowledge, it doesn't have to be something very technical or uh, super rare. As some of these examples have come out, it can be something very, very simple. But if it's something that makes people laugh, something that makes people feel good, people will go for it. People will stick with it. And if you have a style of your own, then that is something that readers can identify with and appreciate. That's all you need, really.
Yeah, and conversely, if let's say, you're a beginner, but you've always been a science person, and you like writing science topics or whatever, you'd be surprised. You might be able to find places that require those kind of writing. You could be somebody who really enjoys writing business. That's where, actually people who are business writers, there's a huge market for annual report writers, because so few people enjoy doing it. So if you enjoy writing business stuff, this is a really good market for you. If you like writing science stuff, and even for stuff like Marsha used to write, which I shall not mention, it's also something which you can start. You just write something
It
which,
is. People pay for it, okay?
you could write on anything which you enjoy writing about, like what Audrey said. Marsha, you want to spill the beans or not? What do you used to write for?
No, no, no,
No, I don't think she wants to spill a bit. We'll just keep it a
Let's not go
secret.
there, guys.
But I think, like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Margaret, when she says for a beginner what topic to suggest, I think to me it's really something where what you write and what the market wants, and if you can find that really good fit. And so here's something which I was actually sharing with Audrey the other day over WhatsApp, is that um, Do any of you know about Google Alerts? I'm sure Marsha knows about Google Alerts.
Yeah, yeah,
So if
yep.
you, yeah, what I suggest, if whether this is for writing or not, go and subscribe to Google Alerts and put in the keywords or the key terms that you want to monitor. For instance, just say you want to monitor keywords like copywriting or keywords like writing or business what grant writing or company profile
Mm.
writing, whatever terms that you feel that you want to monitor. So you pop it into Google Alerts, and Google will send you an email as and when any article, anything that comes along online that has the keywords that you're monitoring for. And many times, if we're looking at, just say, copywriting jobs or writing jobs, many companies actually put out a lot of ads. And so this, instead of you going to look for those job alerts and all that, it will be coming into your inbox. So what you do is then you go and look at those ads and you can see. So from there, you can see what are the kinds of writing that people are hiring for. You may not want to
Yeah.
work for that company, but you can pitch them because they're already hiring, right? What if they could outsource to you instead of hiring, right,
Yeah, full
for
time.
then work for
Yep,
the
yep,
company, yeah, full time. So that
Guilty
could be
as
one
charged.
way. Yeah, so that
yep,
could be
yep,
one way
yep,
because
yep,
a lot of people think, oh,
yep.
it must be very difficult. First, I have to go and pitch to those online magazines and things like that. But you can do it reverse, whereby you know they're looking for writers, you know they're looking for content. So you pitch yourself as the writer who can write those content for them. So to me, that is the way that you get into the writing industry and start this way. So Margaret, I hope this helps because whether or not you're a beginner, there are tons of people out there looking for writers, social media writers, copywriters, whatever kind of writers, anything that you can write and make sense. There's someone out there who needs it and who loves
That's right.
that kind of
Most of all,
writing.
I think not only makes sense, but if it's better yet if you learn how to, sell. I think a lot of companies are looking for people who knows how to write, how to
That's true.
convincingly that
Yeah.
That's
sells,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
read
true. Yeah,
marketing books.
marketing. Yeah, marketing kind of
Yeah.
writing. Yeah, but again, there are so many other venues. Like, no, that was like what Krista was describing just now. That's how I started writing for Reader's Digest. I was just trawling the internet, to find where can I send my writing to, and then I found this post by one of the editors that says that Reader's Digest is looking for freelance writers. So I just wrote into him and just said that, I've been reading Reader's Digest since I was a child, and then I went on this, very long description on who were my favorite writers and what I used to read about and what I can write about. I
Wow.
was actually very new. Yeah, so, he replied me, the editor replied me, and then he started giving me some articles. And after that, he said, why don't you just become our correspondent in Malaysia? That was how I ended up being Reader's Digest correspondent in Malaysia for quite many years, like I see. So yeah, be prepared to search and you know it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or intermediate or even advanced level. You always have to be on the lookout. So I guess
And we were all once there also, right? All of us started as
yes,
beginners. We didn't
yep,
have
yep, yep,
any
yep,
industry context, so to speak. Okay, so
yep,
Charmaine
yep.
is back again with I have multi-interest. Is it a good thing?
Of course, it's a good thing. That means you have multi
It's a good
Yes,
potential,
thing.
yes, it is.
multi market for you to
Yeah,
explore.
Okay,
yes.
so
I
so,
mean,
so she
it's
follows up. She follows up with this. For example, I like graphic design, business education,
Ooh,
etc.
you're
wow.
set to go,
Wow.
girl.
Well, you're the modern Leonardo da Vinci. It's everything.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's
that's
great to have
fantastic
multiple
already.
interests, especially if you're just starting,
Correct, correct,
because
correct. Yeah.
that just gives you a broader base of opportunities to work with,
Yes,
and
that's
then
right.
from there, at some point, if you want to specialize, you can. But I always feel it's better to start out with a broader base before narrowing in, rather than have a very narrow area of expertise and then kind of get stuck after a while and not know what else to do. So I think Shamin, I think you're in a good place.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I think a good place to start is like, if for especially if you have multi interest like that, just try everything. Write a bit of business, write a bit of a special human
Yep.
interest, write a bit of business and education, write a bit of everything, and after a while you will find what sticks with you. suddenly education people keep calling you for more work and more work and more work. Then you're like, okay. Whereas the business and the human interest ones are like, so somehow it will find you. So you just have to cast your net wide in the beginning, and whatever fish you catch, they will be, the ones that stay with you, and that's how it works normally. Correct or not? Yeah. For the rest of you, is it how it
I
is?
think also, yeah, I think also when you work with across many industries, you build more contacts.
Yes, 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 yes.
You get to
Then
know more
word
industry
of mouth, right?
specialists.
Yeah,
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 and those people move around, and sometimes those people cross industries as well. And because they've been happy working with you, they'll reach out to you again. So again, it's a very
true.
it's organic growth, and it can
Yes.
that's really the best thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think that if you can write and do graphic design,
Oh
that is
yeah.
such a plus point, right? Like me and Marsha was like, yeah,
Yeah, we
that
were
is so good.
struggling.
That is so
Yes.
Yeah,
good.
we were struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always
So
had to
if
hire a
Charmaine,
graphic
you
designer.
can write and you can also design. Can you imagine the kinds of clients you get? Like, hey,
Right.
design for me
Yeah,
a poster,
A
design for
poster.
me a
Yeah. Yeah.
flyer,
Yeah.
design for
Yeah.
me a booklet or a
Yeah.
whatever, company profile or a magazine cover,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I mean, because these days I think design,
Yeah.
graphic design especially, and
Yeah.
if you can pair it with writing, it'll be such a good combo and a
Mm-hmm.
really valuable package that you can have for your clients.
Skills. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, on top of
So,
that, you say, "Oh, I can write business, I can write education." So,
but wait,
even
if
better.
you're
You know
doing
what,
double, if
Krista?
you're doing double,
Video,
yeah.
video editing.
yeah,
Yeah, that one
yes,
even, yeah.
yeah,
But then again, Charmaine, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna provide the writing as well as the graphic design, remember to build them differently, okay? Because they might give you a package just for the design or just for the writing, but actually you're doing two people's
yes,
work. Most writers cannot do graphic design, most graphic design cannot do writing, or they get it all grammatically
Yeah,
wrong, etc. So you must build them for the writing and for the graphic design. Agreed or not? Correct,
yes,
right? Yeah, it's
yes,
two different
yes.
skills. Don't forget that, man.
Make sure you because you're doing double work, right? Basically, you're doing two people's jobs, so you gotta build them double. Yeah.
Separately. Yes,
So
yeah.
yes, thank you, Shamin. I really didn't know what I'm working as a blessing. Yes, that's also how you stand out, right? I mean, in a sea of writers, in a sea of people who can write, if you have the additional skills like what we were talking about in the last live stream,
Session.
if you can
Yes.
raise your value, add more value to your clients, I think they will really appreciate, and they will know, and you will know it because they keep coming back to you for
Correct.
for the extra jobs and things. Okay, Grace Ann has one question. How do you improve trimming the fats? Some of us, like me, overthink,
oh,
end up writing more than I should. Oh,
you gotta be okay. You gotta be brutal about this. Okay, you
Yeah,
gotta be
that's the
brutal.
right
You're
word, man.
gonna
Brutal.
go right in, and after that, you just chop, 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 chop. I know you feel sayang, or you feel, yeah, you feel sad. I have spent so many hours writing this, but yeah, you've gotta be brutal about it. Just sakit hati, but gotta let go.
There are there are actually many articles online. Okay, first of all, you have to understand that for a writer to edit their own work, it is difficult. It is always difficult. And as Marsha put it, sometimes, to just cut like 30% away from your beautifully crafted article is very sakit hati. But what you do have the option, especially if you're getting steady work, any extra bits that you've written, you just cut it, save it, don't throw it. Because if you're doing a lot of writing work in a particular field or industry, you it will never go to waste. You will find another way to use whatever information you have learned, an interview you have conducted, an article you have read somewhere, all that reading up and background info that you have done. It will help you, in future projects. That always helps. So in terms of editing fats, yeah, um, look, if you just Google things like superfluous words, you will find a lot of articles that highlight them for you, and then you will learn to recognize them in your own writing, and that will make it easier for you to cut the things that's unnecessary without sacrificing the content of what you're trying to get across.
But I think you're very lucky, Grace, because most people can't even get started. So if you end up just like like diarrhea, writing more than you should, then you need to edit, I would say you're very lucky. Most people just
This
stare
is
at a
the
blank page
opposite
for
of a
so
writer's block,
long.
right?
Exactly. This is the
Yes.
exact opposite. Most people are like, oh, I just can't get started. Oh my god, it's been 5 days. I'm still at my second sentence. So if you at the point where you often write more and then later you have to edit, I would say you're very lucky because it is rare. Yeah, it is rare. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. Yeah. So congratulations, congratulations. It's good fat. Don't worry about that. It's good fat. There's bad fat, right? So you definitely have got the good fat in your
So this is
writing.
the this is the LDL, right? Is it LDL? This is
Yeah.
not
Yes.
LDL,
Yes. Yeah.
LDL, not HDL, right?
HDL, yeah, yeah.
HDL.
Correct, yeah, yeah. So that's
So
But to
you
add to
don't
what
work.
Audrey said, right? Wait, I to add to
Yeah,
what
go
Audrey
ahead.
was, what was
Yeah.
Audrey saying? Apa you cakap? No, laughing too much. Okay, now my Krista, go ahead. I forgot already.
Okay, so need to do a quick time check. We are 10 minutes to the hour, so I promised everyone that I'll keep it to the hour so that we all don't end up feeling exhausted. Like, oh my god, we went on for so long the last round. But I also want to mention, because I put it in the chat also, for good writing, try to get this book called Bird by Anne Lamott. It's really a book about writing and how you write and what are the kinds of writing that how you write. Actually, basically, it's how you think about writing and how to write. So it's a really, really good book. And then what do I want to say? Oh, how to trim the fats, right? So I think trimming the fats is not the, I would say that's not the problem, because like for
yes.
me, if I feel that I've written too much, um, I will leave it aside first for a couple of days. I don't really look at it. But when I come back to it with fresh eyes, I think I can be better at cutting down, if
Yeah.
that helps.
Sleep. Sleep
Yeah,
over it.
skip
You say
over
sleep
it.
over it, right?
And don't try to edit while you write. That's the worst thing ever. You
Very
will
important. Very
yeah,
important.
Yeah.
you just lose that mood for writing, because every time you write two sentences, you want to go back and edit, right? So you just,
Yeah.
what you do is, the first draft is always the awfulest
Yeah.
draft. So you just
Yeah.
write, put everything down, and then you give it a couple of days to kind of simmer in the background. Come back to it after 2 or 3 days, and then you can read it, with better eyes, with something that you didn't see 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe you see it on the third day when you're reading it fresh again. So I think it's good if you do that, so that it can help you trim the fats, so to speak, kind of like cut out all the stuff that you don't really want. So that helps me personally. And when I edit other people's work, it
Yeah.
helps also for me to see their work better, more objectively, if I come back to it after like a couple of days, rather than right off, I jump into it. So yeah, hope that helps. Okay, there's a question from Anthony. Right, one question from me. Writing or any creative job can be an emotionally draining and stressful pursuit. Artist, writer slash artist.
Wow.
Meditation. Meditate.
I would say personal hacks. Every writer slash artist, anyone in a creative field, is always going to feel like they're going to run dry. It always happens. It is natural. Sometimes it is because of not enough rest, or too much coffee and you're buzzing and you can't think straight. Sometimes it is simply a matter of you've been just pounding at it for too long and you've lost all perspective, and that is very, very stressful for me. So I would say, you've got to create your own list of personal hacks or go-tos that help you to feel better. So whether it's stepping outside into the garden, or 10-minute meditation, light a nice smelling candle. You've got to find what works for you, and it you have to recognize the signs, or before you start pounding your head on the keyboard, because all of us feel like doing that sometimes, right? So you also need to learn to recognize the signs, because when you're in a full blown,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like throw my laptop across the room kind of feeling, or or swear or whatever, to take a step back and do what you need to do to just get a little bit of perspective. For me, it's as simple as writing things down, pen and paper, instead of uh, on my laptop, or getting myself away from another screen, because I normally work in front of the TV with the TV running, because I like the background noise. I have comfort movies that I like to watch while I'm working, but sometimes even that can be too much of a good thing. So sitting outside without anything else can help to kind of like bring you back to what you're supposed to be doing. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think just move away from your writing and your creative work for at least a little while, if not for longer hours. Just sort of, you need to have a detox from it. Like Audrey's way is she's saying that when you get so stressed that you feel like you want to bang your head against the keyboard, right? For me, there were times in which when I get so stressed from writing certain stuff, I literally could feel my body. I felt like I was about to vomit blood. It was like, oh my God, for me to get to do this piece of business writing, you actually I actually get tremors. Yeah, I get tremors and so stressed that I can feel like, oh my God, I think if I go on any longer, I'm going to really literally vomit blood. So just detox, just shut the thing down. Yeah, just shut the computer down, do something else, whatever I know. So back in those days, you know what was helping me? Washing the bathroom. I don't know why, but something physical. It must be something physical,
Yes.
okay? So
Mine is
for me,
Yes.
clothes.
huh? Yours is
Mine
what?
is
Clothes.
shower. Mine is clothes.
I take a
Clothes. Yeah,
shower.
mine is taking a shower,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I vacuum
See,
the
yeah.
floor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
vacuum the
something
floor. Yeah, you see,
physical,
yeah.
something just
Correct,
away.
something physical, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, take
Whatever
you away.
works. Yeah.
Yes, but it
Yeah.
must be
Whatever
something
works.
physical because I realize that if you're doing something physical, it takes you away from whatever that is killing you. So do something else. Just
I
shut the
think
thing
I
down.
think the link to from that is because we're doing a lot of mental work.
Correct.
Writing is a
Yes.
mental work. Writing
Very.
involves
Yes.
sitting and just staring into the screen or staring onto your, whatever. If you write longhand, maybe it's on your paper
All
and
the
all that.
activity
So it's
is
all is
here.
in your brain. So
Yeah.
at some point, why we want physical is because we want to get away from the mental, so we can wash our bathrooms, we can go and clean our cabinets, our cupboards, rearrange our drawers, whatever that is
Yeah. Yeah.
physical, I think
Correct.
helps. Like
Correct.
for me,
Go
I
for it.
just like to also do some cleaning, whether it's just washing the sink, just the I think
The
the
combination.
motion, yeah, the motion of just
Yeah,
washing
exactly.
something kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
purges all these
Yeah.
feelings out, and so that you can get
Correct.
back to whatever mental work you're doing. So I
Yeah.
think that is the link between why we want to go and do some physical cleaning or physical
Yeah.
stuff versus more mental stuff, right? So I
Correct.
think that
It's
is
also
the
very
Even with
tangible.
yeah.
If you've washed the sink or the bathroom, it's something that
Exactly.
it's
It's
something that's
practical.
clean, and yeah, and who doesn't like using a clean bathroom, honestly?
Yeah. Of course,
Uh,
now
the
nowadays nowadays
satisfaction,
I
right?
nowadays I've got better hacks lah because I clean the bathroom whenever I'm showering, so I don't do that anymore. You see, because I don't write as much as I used to, so I do a lot of gardening, so it helps to get me grounded as well. Yeah, but I see
Mm.
people who go for walks, who do gardening, who just fool around with their cats or dogs or whatever. Whatever it is,
Yeah,
just shut
yeah. I
down.
think the cat thing.
Oh
Whenever I get
yes,
tired, I just
yeah,
go and tickle my
slap.
cat
Yeah, yep,
and just make
Mm.
make her annoyed because I'll be
yes, yes.
tickling her and she doesn't want to be tickled, right? So I just go and tickle her and say, "Come, let me rub your belly."
Yeah.
Okay, so we are 2 minutes to the top of the hour. We have one thing that we haven't covered yet. I know Audrey is getting antsy about it. Like, Audrey, I don't know. Yes, I'm. So it's about,
yeah.
say it, Audrey.
Yeah, no, it's not that I'm getting antsy. It's just that it's one of when we talked about this session,
Yeah.
one of the things that always comes up is rates. And someone did reach out to me after the last session. I didn't ask permission to name them, so I shall not name them at the moment. Which is how do you settle on rates? And people across, every industry will struggle with this question. The person who asked me this question is from a PR background, to which I would say if you work in any kind of consultancy, you will know that rates are generally calculated by hours. Yeah, but as a solo person, obviously, you're not going to be able to offer the full services and support of an agency. So, of course, you can't charge the same rates as our full agency rates. But I would say if you look at the going on an hourly structure, if you look at what you how much time you put into a particular um, piece of work, let's say media calls or a press release, you can get a pretty good idea of the breakdown, you know. And I think if for someone with an agency background, it's actually a little bit easier to calculate rates compared to writers who always struggle with the, you know, by word, by hour, um, to which both have its pros and cons, you know, like we touched very briefly in the last session. But effectively, when you set your rates, what you need to think about um, uh, is this a rate that is worthy of a business? Because when we talked about writing as a business and not just as a side hustle or a part time or a hobby, you need to be charging rates that you can survive. So the example we used the last time was somebody asking, "Hey, write a 1,000 word article for 100 ringgit." So if you're a working professional with a few years experience, and you know, let's say for example a 5,000 ringgit paycheck is per month is not unreasonable, right? So if you took that 1,000 word article for 100 ringgit, you need to write 50 articles a month. Is that feasible? You know, is that feasible? Is that, are you going to get 50 articles a month? You know, things like that you have to be realistic about. And one more aspect of that is, as a freelancer, remember that you are going to bear all the cost of doing your job, which if you were fully employed, uh, your boss your company takes care of your laptop repairs. You have a IT guy to call if anything happens. They pay for your antivirus. You can claim for medical. You can claim for transport. You know, there are a lot of perks that you need to consider as a freelancer when you set your rates. Yeah, so don't forget all those nitty gritty aspects of it. It can be very exciting to get your first freelance job and to write your first code. And that, honestly, until now, after so many years, developing a code sometimes can take me hours because I want to look at what they want to do. I want to look at a sample to see the extent of time that I'll need to spend on it. Then I will create this scribble of structures of, okay, ideally it should cost this much, but this client, yeah, I don't think so. You know, so what's a middle ground? What's the lowest I can go? What's my nice to have? And yeah, it's a lot of fiddling around um, to emotionally even, you know, to figure out how much you're going to quote for something. So when it comes to, I think, Marsha, in our last session, you mentioned having a rate card. My take on it would be your rate card have a range, because you never know how much time a given job is going to take. So having a black and white figure attached to a page, or a number of words, or an hour, sometimes can work against you. So having a range that you can work with is more helpful when you look at the nitty gritty of what you need to do. So yeah, 5 minutes of me blathering about rates.
Yeah,
But
Add on.
for me,
yeah,
if I have a rate card, right? If I have a rate card, right? Okay, for example, someone approach me, then I will ask, well, what is it about? If it's gonna be about motorcycle racing, right? Which I have absolutely no idea about, and I wouldn't give the rate card, right? So the rate card, and there's a disclaimer down there lah. You know, it says that it only applies to topics that I am familiar with lah. So if I'm not familiar with, and it's very technical and it needs deep diving and scientific or whatever, I'll provide you with a separate quote for that. So it's not binding. A rate card is a rate card. It's not binding. It's not a contract yet, right? So that's my take.
Yeah.
yeah. And I also
Yeah.
want to say that if you're writing, maybe just say non-technical versus technical writing. also different rates. So don't lump everything together. And I want to pull up this comment by Latin. Okay. Just for information, I used to pay between 650 to 1,000 ringgit for an article, interview, and academic staff about
Wow.
his or her new research.
Number of
Yeah,
words.
Latin, the next round you should join us. Come and
Yeah,
join us and talk about this.
Yeah, come on,
Uh,
man.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we should get the Latin in to just talk about things like that. So for those
correct.
of you watching, you say, oh, okay, this is interesting, right? So there there's so many ways of talking about the rates, which I always say it can go on and on. We can always talk
Yes,
about how and how much we charge and all that. But a
There's
good
no right or wrong
a good
way. Yeah.
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
There's no
okay.
right or wrong way.
So
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Lee Jin, you have something to announce, right? Thanks, Lee
Yes,
Jin.
yes, yeah, thanks, Leighton. And yeah, the rates also always vary, like, like in the past, I remember people used to pay me between 800 to 1,002 to write speeches and press releases, you see. So again, it is important to have a network, and it's important to have your name out there. And that leads us to what we want to announce today, which is that, we realize that a lot of people are really like, you feel like as a new writer, which is what we all went through, by the way, 20 years ago. You are like, in this desert, you don't know where to begin. So, we have had these discussions for the past few months, and we thought that, we really want to create a platform for all new writers to come together. And as much as possible, we will try to be able to support you, not just support as in, um, as in, just having sessions like these where you can ask us questions, or you can put it there for other writers who are experienced, like maybe Leighton or whoever, who will be able to find other writers as well. So this platform will be a Facebook where, it's going to be called My Right Tribe. So Krista probably can put it into the chat later. Yeah. So My Right Tribe is where you can join. We like to keep it very private, so it won't be open to the public. But it will be a group where, the bunch of us will be there, and we will be able to help to answer questions that, that you always wanted to ask somebody, but sometimes you feel like, who am I supposed to ask? What am I supposed to ask? If I ask about money, does it seem like, I'm so calculative? If I ask the wrong things, will people think wrongly about me? Or, if I want to write about something that, that is a little sensitive, who's going to answer me? So I think among the four, or even with other more writer friends, we've probably all been there, done that at some point or other. So we would be able to tell you, so we invite you to join this Facebook group. And one thing also that we would like to mention, the network. I always emphasize the fact about being in a network of writers, because, even though I've left freelance writing for so many years now, I still get people asking me whether I like to write for them. And even Krista was still sharing the other day, hey, there's this assignment that came in. Any one of you
Yeah.
girls can take it on. And then we are like, oh, you're very busy, very busy, very busy. Yeah. So, because we've been there for so long, people are still giving us jobs. And, I can tell you 100% of the time, I'm just telling people, I just cannot cope. I'm so busy nowadays. So I'll look for writers. And, if this FB group is going to help you as a beginner, we really, really invite you to join, and to also invite your other friends. So hopefully it will give you a head start. Rather than you'll be like us, we started with nobody to guide us, and we just fumble around in the dark. We hope that at least we will be there to be able to give you a little bit of guidance. So yes, please go to our Facebook group, just join. All four of us there are admins, and we will try to help whatever possible. Also inform your other friends about it. If they would like to start writing, either full-time, part-time, or aspiring writers. In fact, I know a lot of people who've been thinking about doing writing as a business for the longest time, and they just never got started. Because they just don't know how. Where am I supposed to start? How am I supposed to start? So, we've covered this in the last session. So in case you miss it, you can go back to Red Box Studios. It's still in the, what's that, in the
Yeah, you
YouTube and the
can Google
Facebook.
it also. It's also on YouTube. So whichever
Right.
is easy for you. Some people like to watch it on YouTube, so you can go
Yep.
and watch it there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all I want to say. Basically, we're just providing you the resources free of charge. Go and make full use of it. Be part of, just this bunch of crazy people like us. Because we struggled so much in our earlier years, lah, and we thought that, there's so much of uncertainty. I was just sharing with my other friends here that so many things are happening. I literally, have friends dropping dead from COVID and all that. And I was just asking people, the last few days, I just ask people, how much time do we have? We don't know. So whatever time that I have left, I'm sure we all feel the same way. Whatever time we have left, we like to be able to do something valuable with it, whatever time we have. And we hope that it will at least be able to help some of you out there who would be able to carry these messages and do something good with your writing. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. That is our good news and announcement. We wanted to set up this FB group so that we can share more. We're not too sure whether in the future we're going to be sharing more of this live stream inside the group or
Yeah.
outside. So maybe if it's more specific, then we'll probably share it inside the group, like things like talking about rates, right? I think
Yeah.
there's a little bit like, we can have a deeper discussion on the rates and stuff like that. So yes, so we've kept to 1 hour. Let's see, I think we're 10 minutes past the hour, but at least we're at least we
Sorry,
didn't
that
A lot
must
go.
be
better than the
me.
last one.
That must be me. Sorry.
Thank you, Dean. You know what Dean said? Dean, just so okay, thank you. Don't be jealous,
Yes,
Dean. Don't be
she's
jealous.
been writing. She's been blogging for the longest time, and she was telling me about it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I have, yeah, all of us here. I mean, all of us here have been writing for the longest time, and I think one of the things about writing is the more you write, the better you get.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You
It's
have
like
to write.
sharpening a knife. It's like
Mm,
sharpening a knife. Yeah.
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 And you have to keep on doing it. And yeah, you will make all the crazy mistakes, but you have to do it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Somebody says, look, whoops, I'm late in the game. Okay.
Huh?
Oh no.
Hello,
Hi,
Ellen.
Ellen.
Nice of you to join us
Oh,
again.
Yeah. Well, you
put
were
an
from the last.
alarm next time, Alan.
Yeah. Ellen joined us the last time. Yes, you can just watch the replay then.
Yeah, you can watch it. But nothing is as fun as a live, right? Because live we're
Yeah,
here and we're answering
that's
people's questions. Next
true.
time, join us, Ellen. Join it in our FB group. Final question. Final question. Do you guys think writing has to be a passion now to be good?
Yes,
Ooh.
yes, and yes. Okay, over to you all.
Audrey is like thumb.
Uh, yeah, no, I'm just thinking,
Okay,
I mean, in the
define
context
good.
of,
Yeah, define good.
yeah, no, I would say in the context of writing for a living,
Fine, good.
writing as a career,
Mm,
Mm.
Yeah.
passion, yes, but I would also say professionalism and work ethic goes a long way. Yeah, so if you may, I mean, writing may not be your number one passion, but do you have a passion for doing a good job? Then that takes you very far, rather than someone who is just extremely passionate but is not thinking about what the client wants or the objective of what they're writing or how well they're writing, but they just are so passionate that they want to get everything out there. Well, that's, everything has to come with a balance.
I'll join Legion in this one. Passion takes you a long way. I won't say that's why I said define good.
Yeah,
What
true.
do you want to be good at? What kind of writing do you want to be good at? But passion is going to be the propeller, your main propeller, your engine. When you feel down, it's like it's gonna be your kicker upper.
Driving,
You know.
the driving
So
force,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
you're driving force.
I
Yeah, for me
I
lah.
would say, yeah, you really have to be excited about what you're writing. But at the same time, if you're writing for business, there are many topics which I've written about, which I wasn't really passionate about, but I had to put myself in the shoes like, I'm doing this because I need to help my client
Yeah.
convey that message.
Yeah, so it's your
So I mean,
professionalism that
yeah,
that
Yeah.
carried
Correct,
you
correct.
through as well,
yeah.
right?
So I don't need to be excited about something really mundane, but I know that by writing it well and conveying that message well, I'm able to help my clients reach out to more people out there and make them understand what this specific client is good at or what they can do for their own customer base. So I think it's, to me, you can create that passion. You can be passionate about something that you may not be passionate about. Do I make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
I think a better way of putting it is, passion actually. Sorry, writing has to be a passion for you to continue doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't do it very long lah. After
Yeah.
at some
I used
point,
to
you
write.
you're better off doing something
I
else.
used to write something about making a kayak making. You know,
Ooh,
kayak, the
Yeah.
canoe.
yeah, yeah.
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 I know absolutely nothing about it. You know, I don't even know how to hammer a nail. You know, but I developed such an interest and a passion for it that I ended up looking up at kayaking, and then I want to go, you know, and all that. So it all depends on you and the topic itself. So I
Yeah,
think that's for
sure.
me. Lah. As you go on your journey, you will be exposed to so many things like light bulbs. Suddenly you're interested in lighting. You know, one fine day, an air conditioner guy comes in and asks, I want to start air conditioner cleaner. There's suddenly, oh, air conditioner. Then suddenly you're interested in temperature. You know, that kind of thing. But it develops. Lichin is laughing because all these things happen, okay? Yeah,
But
Yes,
I
all these
think
things.
yeah,
we have to be curious also.
Oh
You have to
yes,
be
yes, I
curious
think
about
so.
things in order
About
to
life,
write.
yeah,
Yeah,
about life in
live
general.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be
So yes,
surprised. A lot of people don't have the sense of curiosity. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
yeah. So being curious actually keeps you writing in the ways that you see things like for the first time, right? So you have to be curious about things like that. So yes, so join us. We invite you to come on our journey with us because
Yeah.
we feel that uh, it's also good that we share some of the things that we've learned along the way in the last 20 over years. We keep referring to that. I think we kind of sound really old now. It's like people who just, oh my God, people keep talking about 20 years. Okay, 20 years is a long time. But yeah, so collectively, we have 80 years of experience in this group. And we don't only open it up to people who are just beginner writers or writers who want to start out. But if you're really experienced, come join us. Also, come and share your thoughts and
yeah.
experiences with the
True.
other
True.
people. I probably can learn something from another writer. So I think that it's going to
Yeah.
be a great community that we're going to
Network,
have. Yeah,
community. You're
We
right.
network
all
We're just
can.
trying.
community.
We all
We
can.
just want to build a community of writers. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
All right. Then.
that's it.
Yeah.
So that's it, ladies. We have kept it 16 minutes over the
Well
hour.
done.
Yay!
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us. We don't know, will we have a third session? We don't know, right? We don't know. Will it be inside the group or
Up
still
for
here?
discussion.
Yeah, up for discussion. Yes.
Let
So
us know.
thank you so
Let us
much.
know if
Yeah,
you
let
want
us
us to have
know.
another session. Yeah.
And yeah, what kinds of topics also. But when you join the Facebook group, I think we have more
That's true.
conversations going on there. So thank you so much, everyone. We wish you a very pleasant evening. Is it still considered evening or is it good night? Or some people are already going to go to bed. So thank you once more, everyone, for being part of our live stream. We're just doing this
Thank
because
you.
writers, right? We're writers and we want to help other writers and we want to have fun along the way. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Good night.